We can tell you there's some strange things going on here. The morgue, where these bodies are right now, is a secret morgue, and it literally is secret. You call up officials that can tell us where the morgue is, they say it's a secret, we can't tell you. Families don't know where the morgue is. The families who do know where the morgue is are afraid to tell us because they're afraid they'll get in trouble for telling us. So we had to do some investigating because we wanted to ask questions of the morgue as to what is going on inside the morgue and what happened to this little boy. We wanted to find that out. So we found the morgue after some investigating, and I want to show you this very strange and unusual encounter we had on a public road with law enforcement officials. It felt like we were crossing an international border without a passport.
So, Dr. Crippen, give it to me in a nutshell.
Well, the premise is quite simple. Take something designed by nature and reprogram it to make it work for the body rather than against it.
You're talking about a virus?
Indeed, yes, in this case the measles virus, which has been engineered at a genetic level to be helpful rather than harmful. I find the best way to describe it is if you can imagine your body as a highway and you picture the virus as a very fast car being driven by a very bad man, imagine the damage that car could cause. Then if you replace that man with a cop, the picture changes, and that's essentially what we've done.
Now, how many people have you treated so far?
Well, we've had 10,009 clinical trials in humans.
And how many are cancer-free?
10,009.
So you have actually cured cancer?
Yes. Yes, we have.
You're talking about a virus?
Indeed, yes, in this case, the measles.
There's a new warning about an outbreak of measles, and this raises some questions. What can you do to protect your children? And does the vaccine that you got years ago still protect you?
90% of people exposed to someone with the measles will catch it. The virus spreads through the air and can linger for up to 2 hours.
It's typically spread through respiratory droplets, and it's extremely contagious.
An actual infection with the measles can lead to brain disease with unconsciousness and convulsions, and you can see an abnormal brainwave tracing with it. For every 1,000 children who get the measles, 1 or 2 will die.
Most of the time it's due to people who have either refused the vaccine or for whatever reason were not vaccinated.
33 countries in Europe as of April 18th had 6,500 cases of measles. Yeah, can you say outbreak?
Measles is serious, highly infectious and potentially dangerous. In some cases it can be fatal. And this year there's been a surge in cases across Europe. This is why experts are worried. In England and Wales there have been 334 reported cases between January and April this year. That compares to 374 cases in the whole of 2010. And in France it's reached an epidemic with more than 5,000 cases. The latest outbreak is mainly affecting under 25s, and most of them haven't been vaccinated against measles.
It's a different pattern that we're seeing this year, and that's why we're slightly worried about it.
We make a large number of people ill. It will soon reach this country. It is more serious than ordinary flu, and some people will die. Scientists worldwide are racing to make a vaccine.
Quite simple. Take something designed by nature and reprogram it, designed by nature and reprogram it to make it work for
The controversial genetic scientist Craig Venter, who made his name by putting a rocket under attempts a decade ago to decode the human genome, has this week told the world about his latest audacious project. He has copied the fundamental processes of nature, breathing life into a simple microbe which he's named SYNTHIA. It's being hailed as landmark work by his peers in this challenging new field of science called synthetic biology, but condemned by others as little more than hyped-up chemistry aimed at wooing investors. Amidst calls for a moratorium on his work, I'll be speaking to Dr. Venter himself in a moment, but first here's our science editor, Susan Watts.
It's a world first, a living cell driven by synthetic DNA code, put together by a computer, put together by a computer,
And reprogram it,
by a computer. This new cell, nicknamed SYNTHIA, is a milestone for science, and if you believe the razzmatazz, the dawn of a new era. It's the work of Dr. Craig Venter.
This means that BP and synthetic genome scientists had already created self-replicating bacteria, or self-reproducing bacteria, wherein the assembled DNA molecule is a synthetic genome. And that was back in 2007. You know, just a few more connecting dots and we might be able to see the picture. Hurricanes and genome vaccines. Let's talk about that. As I stated on WVP Radio during our premiere broadcast in August, there won't be any hurricanes entering into the Gulf of Mexico this year. There haven't been, and there won't be. Otherwise, both the hurricanes and the altered jet stream will send the synthetic bacteria all around the world. They have to isolate their biologically created nightmare until they can either find a way to control it or create a synthetic genome microbial vaccine to neutralize its effects. Could that have been their plan all along? On October 7th, 2010, Synthetic Genomics, the BP Equity Investment Company, and JCVI announced the formation of a new company named Synthetic Genomics Vaccines Incorporated. This privately held company will focus on developing the next generation of vaccines using JCVI's genomic sequencing and synthetic genomic expertise, coupled with the intellectual property and business of synthetic genomics, and that will significantly advance and enhance vaccine development. Now, how amazing that the BP Synthetic Genomics Alliance now has its own vaccine company for patented or patent-pending immunizations. But at what cost to humanity? It's convenient and very profitable to not only create synthetic bacteria, but to also offer a vaccine in case there are any problems. When you create the bacteria and control its DNA, you also know how to shut it down. Definitely. BP is beyond petroleum. According to Fernanda Gandara, the president of this new company, we are excited to apply our advanced synthetic genomic technologies to revolutionize vaccine production. Yes, Fernanda, I'm sure you and BP are. But what are the human effects? Synthetic biology is a high-risk, profit-driven field, building organisms out of parts that are still poorly understood. We know that lab-created life forms can escape, become biological weapons, and that their use threatens existing natural biodiversity. But most worrying of all, Craig Venter is handing this powerful technology to the world's most irresponsible and environmentally damaging industry by partnering with the likes of BP and even Exxon to hasten the commercialization of synthetic life forms. Now we have scientific confirmation of, quote, a previously unknown species of cold water hydrocarbon-eating bacteria, end quote. And they're gobbling up the oil in the Gulf. Nothing is known about how this new synthetic bioremediation bacterium that's now in the Gulf reacts with mankind. This is virgin and uncharted territory. We already know how sea mammals such as whales and porpoises have reacted. Those who haven't escaped the affected areas of the Gulf have died, along with all other marine life and coastal vegetation. While human health effects from crude oil exposure are very well known, the effects of dispersants containing oil-eating artificial bacteria are not known. It's never been done before, let alone at the immense scale of operations now taking place. There's a reason the so-called dispersants are guarded by weapon-yielding soldiers and local armed law enforcement in the warehouses and deployment yards along the Gulf Coast. If a sample were to be analyzed by knowledgeable people, the biological and chemical anomalies it contains would be made public, right down to the unique signature. BP keeps allowing their sorcerer's brew to be called Corexit in order to hide the fact that it's not just the name brand product any longer. Perhaps that's because Craig Venter's research boat is named Sorcerer 2. The physical symptoms of the BP flu, BP crud, blue flu, or whatever name you choose to call it, are as unique as the synthetic bacteria being used in the Gulf of Mexico. Since mankind is carbon-based, how did these synthetically created hydrogen and carbon-hungry bacteria react to human flesh? Well, internal bleeding as well as ulcerating skin lesions are physical signs of their computer-created DNA signature. BP and their paid minions have released a synthetic biological plague in the Gulf of Mexico, and it's out of control. The entire world is a victim of their greed and their foolishness. By playing the role of creator, they've begun a very dangerous game with infinite repercussions for life as we know it. Those who have permitted and agreed to this cover-up are just as responsible as BP, the corporate people who are proud to let everybody know they're beyond petroleum. Those of us living on the Gulf Coast must demand from every politician and every government agency from the national right down to the local level a full explanation as to why they allowed this to happen and why they are allowing it to continue. They're all responsible for lying to us and covering up the truth. Have you connected all the dots yet? Do you see the complete picture yet? The Gulf Blue Plague has evolved.
From the leading name in biotechnology comes Regenerate, the breakthrough from the Umbrella Corporation.
My name is Alice. I work for the Umbrella Corporation. There was an accident, and everybody died. The trouble was, they didn't stay dead.
In the pursuit of human perfection, accidents will happen.
There's been an incident.
How bad is it? We're reopening the hive. I want to know what went on down there.
Sir, there's something in here.
infection is spreading faster than anyone could have anticipated.
Seal the gates.
Our men are still out there.
Just do it.